Welcome. I want to address the fires going on out at what is it, Palisades and Eaton. Isn't that what it is? Uh, Please like, subscribe, respond, make comments. If you got information that you think will be helpful, share it. If you think I'm a simplistic idiot, share your complicated knowledge. But first of all, this isn't climate change, y'all. I went out to. I'm not a extremely well traveled person, but I went out to California, above uh, San Francisco, um, about a decade ago or so. It was dry. Everything's dry. What I realized, just the air is dry, and that's one thing. I just realized that I could walk for 10 minutes and not have a drop of sweat on me compared to being where I live, where I walk for about 2 seconds and I do. So it was dry, and it was so dry that what sort of hit me as we drove through the country, and we took the scenic, what's the main highway out there? Uh, Not Route 66, Route 101 or whatever it is, down the California coast. From where we were, we were above um, uh, San Francisco, and we drove down to San Francisco. And even in the town we were in, it was very obvious to me, man, it was dry. I mean, everything was dry. The grass stuff was dried out. Here in Florida, we have a dry season. It can get pretty dry. I don't think it gets as dry as California, though, uh, because California seems to get dry all year long, sort of. They don't quite get the water that we get here in Florida. But it was very dry. Okay, I made my point. It's dry. Y'all, people in California know it's dry. This is not anything that is a surprise to the people in California. The fact that um, they aren't prepared for this after the multiple things that have happened. Look, we just had what it was at the Paradise Fire in 2018. Remember that one? They just burned up all kind of stuff. Started in Paradise Campground, I think is what it was, and it just burnt and burnt and burnt. And what did they say then? Oh, the problem is in California, they're not managing their forests very wisely, and they need to be burning some of that underbrush from time to time instead of waiting for it to build up for 20, 30, 40, 50 years and then explode. Because that's what happens. That happens anywhere you're at. And fire is a natural thing. It happens. It's, one way that many ecosystems across the world have existed for hundreds, if not thousands of years, because of the natural fire that happens. And along comes people, and we want to build a house in the middle of where fire normally sweeps through once every 5, 10 years or whatnot and clears things out. Then we got a problem. It's not climate change. The climate's always changing. I know a good bit about climate change. I've been very seriously and deeply involved in sustainability related stuff, for a decade or so until I finally came to the realization that we were just dealing with bull. The whole climate change, climate warming, yada yada, is just bull. There is no science for it. The idea that, excuse me, I'm sorry, my throat. The idea that we've got this carbon issue is a bunk carbon issue. Okay, they're all bunk. This is all just manipulating poor, simple-minded people, which most of us want to be. We want to be simple-minded. We want to sit in front of that stupid boob tube or stick something in our ear and let people entertain us and not be having anxiety about anything. I get it. I don't want the anxiety either. It's not true. There's no science. The science on climate change is absolutely rigged. all this hurricanes. If you look at the number of models they use to predict the weather, it's just a zillion models, and none of them are exactly right, and they go from here to there. There's no good solid science to that you can base anything on. There's some really loose science. We're going into a what is a Maunder minimum, where we're actually headed for an ice age potentially, at least a little ice age or something. That's something that there's statistical information about. Now, whether or not it happens, I don't know. There may be other things that happen in the world, other things that happen to the sun. The sun is all part of it, supposedly. There's some correlation there. I don't know how it works. I mean, none of us know exactly how it works. Everything we have, it's all theory. And as soon as somebody finds out something that doesn't work, the theory shifts from here to here. It happens all the time. So it's not climate change. Get over it. What is it? What's going on out there? Well, fires happen, number one. Certainly that weather system happens. Now, we could get into conspiracy theory stuff, which may be true. We don't know. All right? We don't know. That is, the average person doesn't know. Somebody really probably does know. And unfortunately, I'm at the point where I don't know who to trust anymore about who knows what, right? So I don't know, because I don't trust anybody hardly. But the weather pattern, is this a true natural weather pattern? Is this some kind of weather pattern that was manipulated by our military or something? Our military has been manipulating weather for years. We know this. We know that China does stuff over there. We know that during the Peking Games a few years ago, they shut down all their factories so they could have clean air to breathe. There's stuff we know that our military has been seeding hurricanes and other kind of storms to try to manipulate them in different ways. They've been doing this for decades. I'm not saying that is. I'm assuming it's a real natural occurring weather system. So those winds are bad, and like I saw some person talking about it. They said, "Look, we're going to have fires. We're going to have fires, and with that kind of wind, a fire is going to spread." The question is really not what how they handled the fires today or in the last few days. That's not the issue. Really, the real issue is, why haven't they been preparing for it for the last decade or so, right? That's the real question. And then you can let conspiracy theory get onto that. Maybe they're just idiots. But certainly, not having enough water, not taking care of your underbrush, etc., all of those things are problematic. And I know that, yes, as I said in the beginning, California is dry. And therefore, there may not be a great time to burn in California, If I want to burn, I can burn during hurricane season, as long as there's not a hurricane coming through, right? I have to get a permit. But if you wanted to do that here, that's what you'd do. You wouldn't burn during the driest part of the year. That'd be not be too smart. Okay, so there's all kind of one thing. Speaking about, once again, the dryness out there. What really struck me when I was out in California is it reminded me of all the TV shows, all the Western TV shows and whatnot that I see on TV. And of course, by that time, all the reruns of the Westerns I would see, like Gunsmoke or what's the Rifleman or whatever, right? You look at the landscape and there would be these sort of brown, gray, light gray hills. They weren't dark green, so they weren't dark gray, right? Black and white TV is my point. But everything was dry, just like the old Westerns. Anyway, so I'm not naive. I know that there's all kind of things that are probably conspiracy theory. One of those things, I've seen different satellite shots. Which one's real? Now, I saw some, and it could all be manipulated by computer, couldn't it? So I've seen one satellite shot that showed that there was something that they must have created up at Area 51, that went up into the air, and then it drifted down to Los Angeles. So that must be they were doing something there. Could they have been doing that? Certainly they could have. Did they? I have no idea. And then I've seen another video that showed 3 fires breaking out at the same time. Now that, it could be real. Who did it? Why they did it? That's all conjecture. We saw, I saw the same kind of thing with the fires in Nova Scotia last year. They showed how, boom, just a pile of fires all started at one time. Well, so somebody can get in their car, or a couple of guys, but it could be just one guy smoking cigarettes and purposely driving down, let's say, logging roads or whatnot, and throwing out a cigarette as he drives. Light another one, keep on driving, throw it out. Maybe some of them lit, maybe some of them didn't. I mean, that's a possibility that an arsonist could do that. Then you have the people who believe that what's going on is they're using some kind of laser beam and shooting it down to places, and that could have happened, right? Shooting a laser beam from a satellite down into forests and starting multiple fires very quickly and easily that way. Now, again, conspiracy theory or reality? We certainly have the technology probably to do that. Why you'd do it, I don't know. Maybe we're in a James Bond movie and we have an evil Dr. So-and-so who wants to take over the world. I don't know. Anyway, so you have fire starting at the same time, more than once. So that was, I gave you Nova Scotia, I give you Paradise, same thing. Now, are these videos that I saw of the satellite view of things happening, were they real or were they done by computer? Again, I don't know. And I don't care whether it's done by NOAA or whether it's done by NASA. In fact, I even probably have more doubt about it if it's done by NASA personally. But, there's always potential motivations to not let me know the truth, whatever the reason is. Maybe they don't want the Russians or the Chinese to know, and so therefore they can't let you and me know either. Well, regardless, I still can't trust them, right? Whether they're doing it for my good and my protection or not, they're not telling me the truth. So who knows? Then I saw a video of it was somebody with their phone showing, hey, there's people over there across the street. They're starting a fire in their own apartment building or right outside of it. So why would somebody do that? Well, it's not unheard of. In fact, people get put in jail quite often for larceny, for burning down their own buildings or etc. in order to get rid of evidence of whether they're hiding, just whatever the evidence might be. It could be DNA. It could be stolen goods. It could be a body, And if you watch enough detective programs on TV, you get all the possibilities that, right? They've fed us all the possibilities. So maybe somebody's burning. You've got, certainly there's people on TikTok or wherever are saying that we've got celebrities who are purposely burning down their houses because they don't want us to know any evidence of some kind of malfeasance that they've been involved in. So the best thing to do is to burn your house down. Well, certainly it's not unheard of that once there is something like a fire going on, it's a good time if you want to get rid of something that you don't want anybody to know about. That's a good place to join in, take advantage of it, right? Who knows? I wouldn't doubt it. But at the same time, I'm not saying that that's what's going on. And certainly I'm not saying that celebrities went around uh, setting fires all around Los Angeles in order to hide their evidence of whatever they've been up to. Or anybody. I mean, mob people, whatever. Now, but there are things that are quite curious to me that I've seen over the last few fires. And that Maui fire really got me looking last, when was that? Yeah, that was last year, the Maui fire. Actually, Paradise Fire got me looking some, but the Maui really got me looking. And what was particularly, and I've got a few videos. There's piles of videos out here. Some of them make some pretty good arguments. Some of them, I don't know. And then, but the problem with a lot of video that I see is that there's elements in videos or other people's opinions. It could be a magazine article. It doesn't matter what it is. There's elements in what some people say and express that I don't think we should take as concrete. It may be plausible, but that doesn't mean it's true. And I don't want to spread notions that we don't have solid evidence that it is true. Okay. There's a couple of videos, though, that I'm putting down here that are from Maui, and I'm putting them there because I think people need to study what's going on this fire as well. The fire in what is it? Not Palisades. The Paradise Fire up in Northern California. Now that had some really weird stuff happening there because this was supposed to be a big forest fire that was sweeping through the forest and burning everything in its way. But somehow it burnt individual houses and neighborhoods without burning the trees down in their houses, in the yards, without burning the grass around, away from the house. The grass was still green. Come on, there's something really fishy about that. Now, some people said it had to do with the power source, the smart boxes that were on the house, that they could cause a problem. But of course, and then can you sue the power company? No, you can't because they've covered their butts or whatnot. But I don't know. It's just very curious. It's overly curious to me how that works. I don't understand it. I've seen videos, and I might put it down below just because I think the guy, at least in some aspects, makes some good arguments about how trees, how can they be burning from the inside out? That doesn't make sense. Trees burning from the inside out. So I may put that on there. It's a curious thing. But I'm definitely going to put the two videos that are from Maui, where this guy went around and found cars that were burnt out. And a couple of aspects of them. One is, let's see, there were two different circumstances. One was where a car was like in gravel. Yes, it was out where there had been fires around it, but not right up to it. And whatever fire had gotten up close to it had just hadn't even burned all the grass as it approached it. So it clearly seemed to sort of died out as it approached where the car was sitting in the middle of the gravel. And yet the car was just torched. You take a look at it, think about what you're looking at. And then there was another one where these cars were sitting in the middle of an open lot, a grass lot. There were houses all around these cars. None of the houses had burned. The grass that was far away from the cars had not burned. Somehow these cars sitting in the middle of the parking lot, or the grass lot, had burnt. There aluminum wheels had melted from heat. The glass uh, window shields had melted. There were things that were going on with these cars that just didn't seem logical under any normal fire. Curious. Now, could some owner run out and decided, hey, I want to get insurance on my car. I'm going to go out there and burn these cars out in this field. I don't, that could have happened. But how did it happen? How did enough heat happen? How did enough heat happen? That's really the big question. Especially out here, out here. How many times have you seen? I've seen cars burn out on the side of the road and everything. Their wheels aren't melted or anything, right? Another guy, I think might have been on one of these. One they pointed out, hey, the car's rusted. That doesn't happen in a normal fire. Rust doesn't happen until later on. It only happens if there's certain electrical, like it got zapped with some kind of electrical force or whatnot. Is his argument. Anyway, curious. I'm putting it there for you to look at. You can think about it. Okay. I think we need to be thinking about these things. That's my whole point for talking. Is I see things that I'm going, well, what's going on there? So, once again, what's real and what's not, right? So you've got the conspiracy people who see a psyop in everything. If so, what's the psyop? I don't know. Is this one of those things where we're the whole point is there somebody started the fires because they want us to look here instead of here. So while the economy is going to pot, they want us to pay attention to fires and think about fires. Or while they're passing some bill in Congress, they're wanting to just look at fires and think about fires and worry about fires. I don't know. That's all a possibility. But it just seems sort of like a overkill, right? It seems like the people of California should have enough intelligence to take care of being prepared for fires that are not abnormal in California. We have information here. I'm a landscape architect. I go to conferences, and they do. I see programs, presentations on fire safety, how to design for fire safety, right? Of course, when you got a Santa Ana wind blowing, that sort of goes out the window to a degree. But my point is, people do think about and plan for fires. And it doesn't look like the people in California have bothered to do that for decades. And that's sort of hard to swallow. That's curious. It's not climate change. It's idiocracy. Give me your opinion. Please like this. If you think it's worth helping other people to think a little bit, share it. Certainly subscribe, and you can listen to me go on and on. Instead of my wife, I'm talking to you. So, she's very thankful for you. Anyway, like, subscribe, hit the button. There's a subscribe button somewhere. Here. I think it's down here. Or down there, one or the other. Please do that. And then, as I say, please make a comment. All of these things will help the algorithms take this video to people throughout the world who can be stimulated and entertained and edified by what we share. Okay? Have a good evening. Bye-bye.